Christy sees Dr. Squatch soap sponsor Sydney Sweeney reaching for an Academy Award. But does she stick the landing? And if so, is the film around her even good? Grab a cup of coffee and let's find out. Christy follows boxer Christy Martin, the most successful female boxer of her time. The film chronicles her life from her initial interest in boxing, her training to become absolutely unbeatable, all the way to her years where near impossible challenges begin to arise both inside and outside of the ring. Creed, Rocky, Raging Bull, what have you. The best films about sports in general, but particularly boxing, are never actually about boxing. Sure, you may have the backdrop of really cool fight scenes in the ring where tensions are high, where a protagonist has fought their way to the championship over the course of the last 2 hours. None of it matters. None of it. Until the film earns your interest in the scenes outside of the ring. I use this as a good jumping off point in talking about the movie Christy because I think the film's worst parts, its most boring moments, take place within the boxing ring. It's not that the boxing scenes are bad, mind you, they do the bare minimum. They do just enough to keep you engaged, which is good. The camera is at shoulder height. There aren't many cuts between the punches, and the punches, when they land, are thumpy and you feel the hit, you feel the impact, thanks to both the good camera work and some good sound design. But there's nothing in here like the third Creed movie where all the lights go down and the audience disappears and you have that anime fight sequence. There's nothing like that here, okay? This isn't fancy. There's nothing to write home about in regards to the boxing scenes in particular, but honestly, if you took them out, the film wouldn't be that much different. Hell, the last 45 minutes of the film or so don't even have any boxing at all. Where your typical boxing movie is leading up to a big match in the ring, Christy does something else entirely, and that's a compliment. The film instead focuses on Christy herself, her battle outside of the ring. A battle that, I'll be honest, I don't want to spoil for you. So if you don't want to know what this film is actually about, if you want to go into Christy completely blind like I did, which I will say is worth it, skip to this time code down below. I won't talk about the spoilery aspects of the film after this timestamp. For everyone else who wants to know what kind of movie they're getting into, stick around. Now's your final warning. 3, 2, 1, let's talk. Christy, of course, follows everything I said before. Her rise to power, her rise to fame as a very successful female boxer, but in particular, this is a story about Christy and her husband and trainer, Jim Martin, who's not a good dude. If you were to input a hero and villain relationship into a movie, this one checks all of the boxes. As the film goes, you start seeing all the red flags. As you see these boxing scenes, the seeds are being planted for something. And you, like Christy, hold out for a bit. Maybe this will get better. Maybe this isn't all as it seems. You have some hope that maybe this relationship has some sort of silver lining to it. But no, you very quickly realize that Christy is trapped in this dangerous marriage for years, for decades. And by the time that the true danger sneaks up on both you and Christy, it's too late. The damage is already done. He is everywhere, in her home, in her gym, in her family. You can't run from something like that, and the film portrays that threat so well. So for example, the film does technically end with a big battle sequence in the end, like any boxing movie does, but this is completely outside of the ring, okay? And the whole film builds up to just this one extremely tense, extremely emotional 15-minute sequence that will stick with me for years, honestly. It's more tense and more emotional than many other scenes that involve fights in the ring. This boxing movie is not about boxing. That is what this film is truly about, and what the film is truly about is done perfectly. It's done perfectly. Hi. Welcome back if you skipped to this time code. So in terms of non-spoilers, all you need to know is that Christy goes through some traumatic shit. These traumatic sequences are done not just very well, but very tastefully. A lot happens off screen here. The camera will focus on one particular piece of information that you need to know and then look away. You may hear something in the background, you may hear something from another room, which does two things. Number one, it spares you, the audience member, from having to see the messed up stuff that Christy is going through in her life. But number two, it also leaves that up to your imagination, which in some ways is darker. Your minds fill in the gaps here. It's an effective way of storytelling, and it works. It's a story that can only be told in a way that a movie can tell it. Those moments are even more effective because, yeah, Sydney Sweeney does some serious acting here. There's not a single scene she is not the focus of. And yeah, I would say she brings an Oscar-worthy performance here. Who knows if she gets it? It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. But what does matter is that there's a scene that I can't get out of my head where Christy, after years of being at the top of her game in a boxing ring, is finally getting her teeth kicked in. She starts to panic, she starts to hyperventilate, and I remember what matters is Sydney Sweeney's face during that moment as I watched her panic, as I watched that reality sink in for her. Stuttering as she tries to get the words out, barely able to breathe. Sydney Sweeney is truly excellent here, and there's many other scenes like that where you're like, yep, that's the Oscar-worthy moment. Shout out to the costume and makeup department as well, if they haven't gotten many kudos already. There's like a 30-minute sequence here where Sydney Sweeney is portrayed as the high school version of Christy, and I believed it. You could have put Sydney Sweeney in a time traveler's portal or whatever, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. She's got like the long basketball shorts that go below her knees and the weird black hair bob. It just worked, man. They did great. She did great. I do wish I could say remotely the same thing for the supporting cast, though. The only element of the movie that I can look at and say, yep, that did not work, I don't like that, is Christy's mom. Christy herself will go through some shit in this movie, and Sydney Sweeney's giving it her all. She's putting her acting A game on. Meanwhile, her mom is being told to act like a cartoon. Christy, you sound crazy. You must be on drugs. I heard some disturbing things about you down in the high school. I understand that a character like that is supposed to frustrate me like it frustrates Christy. It worked. Hell, maybe that's how her mom spoke in real life. I don't know. But what I do know is that it doesn't fit here. It feels out of place and it's really jarring. The rest of the cast, while maybe not as cartoonish as the mother, is equally out of place. Since Sydney Sweeney takes up most of the screen time here, nothing is left to build them up, so when they do have their impactful moment, it just doesn't land. Christy has to lean on some folks in the film, for example, and by the time we get to them, I'm supposed to say, yes, please go to that dude over there. I trust him with my life. I've seen y'all's friendship develop over the course of the film. Yes, tell him all your secrets. Instead of that, the film will literally say, hey, Christy, my friend, we've been friends for so long, you know you can trust me. The audience member knows they can trust me. Tell me all your secrets. I don't know why he sounds like the Cinemark Movie Rewards. That he doesn't sound like that in the film, but you know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to feel how Christy feels with the supporting cast, which is safe, comfortable, homey, and I didn't really get that because I didn't know these people. So yeah, Christy is a rough film at times, in both a good way in respect to its emotional highs and lows. Its story about a woman undefeated in the ring, having to fight to survive outside of it. That story is fantastic. But it's also rough when it comes to boxing scenes that do feel like they're doing the bare minimum, as well as its supporting cast that feels like, it had maybe a total of 10 lines in the script. But what Christy needs to do right, it gets right. It's stuck with me, and it takes its place within the good category of boxing and sports films, because it knows, again, it's not about boxing. I absolutely do recommend you go see Christy in theaters. But what did you think of Christy? Or what's another sports and boxing movie that you don't feel like gets enough love these days? Let me know down in the comments below, and for more movie chats like these over a cup of coffee, like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.